I noticed on the city board of the city council, there is a woman as president. Is that hard for you working under a woman?
No,
I mean, no. She's mayor.
she's the mayor.
Yeah, is that hard for you to work under? Is the city council subject to the mayor?
No, so it's a little bit different in our city. And actually, we just rotated last night, so she's no longer the mayor
Oh, good.
of our city. Yeah,
You got a man over there now?
Right.
Nice.
So, yeah. At the end of the day, our city is a little bit different because the people don't elect the mayor. The council, we select the mayor from the 5 of us.
Oh.
And so one person will nominate the council and then second a nomination and then we'll vote on it as long as they get 3 votes. So currently right now our mayor is Alonzo Ledesma. Is it hard for me to work under a woman? No, it's not. I never had a problem working under anyone that has a direction for the people. And that's my biggest thing, you know. What is the message of hope for the people? Because if I'm drowning, I'm not going to say, hey, find me a woman that's going to throw me a lifeboat, you know, or find me a man that's going to throw me a life raft. I'm drowning, you know. I just want to get on the boat, you know, help me get on the boat, you know, and we'll go from there. But no, I've never had a problem with women in leadership.
Because we were raised, and I think all people know it, that women were not created to lead, they were created to follow.
Okay.
And when I was growing up, you rarely saw a woman in so-called leadership role. And so my generation, I know people who, at least 1 or 2, who got sick and they died before they let a woman doctor look at them. And that's how serious they were about it, because it's not do you agree it's not in the woman's nature to lead, that she was created to follow and not to lead?
So then you have to ask that, and I can understand where that's coming from, but then you would have to ask this question is, how did women get shifted into a leadership position? Did men stop leading effectively? You know, is one of the things that I would follow up with. You know, where did men started to deviate from, you know, where we were leading? You know, look at our state of our young men right now.
Yeah,
you
a
know,
mess.
You know, right. You know, and look at what's happening in society with men in leadership roles, the greed that's coming along with it. And so I really don't fault women for being pushed into a position that, you know, you would say was not meant for. But when you're giving the alternative in the state of the men that we have, I mean, look at our president of the United States. You know, I'd rather have a strong woman than a weak man. And it's hard for me to follow behind a weak man. it just is. So.
And so do you agree that women were not created to lead, but because the men are weak, they are getting in those positions?
Right. When you read the Bible, a woman was created, the Bible clearly calls a woman as a helpmate.
Yeah.
You know, what does a helpmate does, and even when you look at Proverbs 31, you know, leadership is defined in different aspects. Now, when you say a woman is not meant to lead, in what capacity? You know, is a woman meant to lead in rearing the home? Is a woman meant to lead in helping secure, you know, when I read Proverbs 31, I read a woman as a businesswoman that leads the charge of going out negotiating for her husband. That way, by the time he comes to the table, she's already then, you know, put everything in order for him to walk right on in. And so it's almost like the woman does more leading behind the scene to prepare a man for his greatness. And that's why the Bible says that, you know, she's called blessed for that very reason. And everywhere that her husband goes, he's honored and admired.
She was, I know that didn't happen, but the men in the Bible that allowed that to happen were weak as well. Because the men in the Bible that were not weak did not send their women ahead of them like that. Women were made to help the man in the home, stay pregnant in the kitchen, barefoot, making babies and running a household in that way, but still the man is over her when raising his kids. For example, if you need to discipline the kids, she watches over the kids, but when the father gets home, she reports to him and he disciplines the kids, because women are emotional. You know, mentally they're not stable and emotionally they're unstable. And so they tend to be overreacting to things, and that create a big problem. We look at the blacks, for example, most of the black men and women are angry and out of control because they were raised by women that did not have fathers to to guide the woman in how to raise them, angry mothers and grandmothers.
So I don't necessarily agree with that. I mean, you know, there has been an overwhelmingly show of absent fathers, but I've also seen a lot of strong black women who have raised in single homes or raised as being a single mother and raised extraordinary leaders in today's society.
Like who, for example?
So when you think about it, I mean, we could just go down the list. And so, gosh, my brain is just frozen for a second.
Yeah, that's what happened. Anytime somebody said, well, give me that proof.
Right,
the
right,
mind-
yeah,
the
yeah.
mind go
My
empty.
brain just immediately freezes up. But I can give you my sister, for example. She's a single mother. Her daughter right now, so even outside of anyone else, her daughter right now just made Team USA. You know, she's going to be playing, you know, for the Olympics. Her sons, you know, both of them graduated from college, you know, and they're in the medical field, doing an extraordinary job. And so I'm watching a woman, you know, take on the shoulders of, you know, and her husband, you know, her children's father, my brother-in-law, when they're no longer married, you know, he's there, but they're not in the same home. And I don't fault black women for black men, you know, not stepping up to the plate in those areas. But that just not only happens in black families, that happens across the board with Hispanics, with whites. We just don't talk about it as much.
Yeah, it's happening everywhere now.
And I think that, you know, to say that, you know, black people are angry, I think there's more of a compassion or a frustration with some of the outcomes of trying that has caused that. And I don't think anybody should be characterized in the wrong light because they choose to be angry at circumstances. Because now look how society has now demonized white women for being angry and calling them Karen. And I was just talking to a white lady the other day while I was in Georgia. I said, man, society now has made it to where you can't even be angry because the moment you're angry, somebody's gonna film you and you mess around and lose your career, your job, and anything. And it's almost like now white people are in somewhat in the same boat that black people have been looked at for a long time under this judgmental lens of being, you know, characterized in a certain way.
Yeah.
So
I noticed that, well, there's no such thing as a strong woman, just weak men. And the example you gave of this, your sister sending these kids to school, that's not the sign of a strong person at all. The sign of a strong person is one that is not angry. And they, because these people going to school, they're getting buku degrees, but emotionally and mentally they're out of it. They're angry, they're depressed, they worry, they have doubt, they overreact to life. They worry about what people think about them. They're envious, jealous, and strife, but they have degrees. And so if you're not, so education is not a sign of strength. It's a sign of weakness, if anything, because it tends to try to cover up the fact that you're weak.